Welcome, fellow Redheads, or if you haven't joined us yet, hopefully future Redheads. I'm Tom Laithwaite, and we're making a video for you today because I would normally be visiting Redheads at this time of year for my post-harvest annual trip down there. But obviously with what's going on around the world, we can't do that at the moment. So what I thought I'd do is have a catch up on Zoom with winemaker at Redheads, Alex Truskothic. Say hello, Alex.
G'day, Tom. How are you?
Very good, mate. Very good. How are you?
Good. Glad to join.
And so what we're going to do is just have an update about vintage and what we're doing in the future. And we thought we'd film it for you so that you can all know exactly what I'm about to learn. So Alex, vintage 2020, how did it go?
Well, very well. Obviously, for us in the Barossa this year, we had light crops and obviously small volumes, but which kind of translated to concentrated wine. You know, we've got really great colour and really happy where we are with the quality this year. So Barossa Valley was the smallest crop since 1969. So
oh wow,
whole region 50% down, which is kind of it's significant.
Yeah, but small doesn't mean bad, does it?
No, not in the Barossa. It's usually a sign of a good year. So we obviously everything's more concentrated. You know. Fruit quality this year, definitely no issues there. So pretty excited what we've got in barrel. We just don't have as much as we'd like to have in barrel. So onwards and upwards. Obviously, we're fortunate compared to Adelaide Hills. They had a horror this year, obviously with the bushfires, which kind of everyone saw just before Christmas. 1/3 of the vineyards were physically lost to fire, and then another third of the kind of the crop was lost to smoke tanks. So that affected us. We only got one of our 3 little Chardonnay parcels that we get in from the Adelaide Hills, and all our kind of alternative varieties, so things like Barbera and Nebbiolo, were all affected by smoke. So we're unfortunately unable to make Ridotto and Vinitas this year, which is obviously disappointing.
Yeah.
We had some more positive news. McLaren Vale was a bit of a shining light in the South Australia this year.
It always is, the Vale.
Yeah, it was reliable. It's crops were fairly normal levels. Good colour, good McLaren Vale intensity, what we've come to expect. And further south than Langon Creek, they a bit like the hills, they had a horror. They got hit by frost in flowering, so they lost kind of 90% in some of the vineyards. So that significantly reduced the fruit off our little grower down at Langon Creek, which is a bit disappointing.
It shows people, doesn't it, that Australia, everyone just sees it as a nice, temperate, sunny place, but you've got some places where, it's on fire and other places where it's frosting. It's not that easy, is it?
That's what makes it so interesting, and what's great about us here at Redheads is we take fruit, we've got growers in all these little regions we take fruit from. So it gives us a lot of, I suppose, blending opportunities, and makes what we're doing through the winery really exciting. This year, which was a bit of a new one for us, we kind of we got a bit more excited and went down to Coonawarra.
Okay, yeah.
A cracker year this year. So we've got a Coonawarra Chardonnay kind of coming up, getting bottled in the coming months.
That's exciting.
Amazing Cabernet, which will it's got to stay in barrel for a bit longer yet, but I'll keep you posted on that one. So Coonawarra, really mild vintage. So we picked towards the end of April this year, which is kind of a Coonawarra of old. The last couple of years it's been sort of heat waves. Coonawarra's been picked probably a bit early.
Yeah.
So exciting to kind of get into Coonawarra this year and play with some fruit from a grower called Jack Burston, who's pretty passionate about what he's doing down there. So.
Excellent. So we've got a new grower in the family then.
Yeah. We've got a new one in Barossa too. We obviously we still love working with the Paul family and Hoppy at Ebenezer and our friends down at Atsy's or Andy Koleski. But some old friends of mine when I was younger, going by the name of Mackenzie's. They've been shouldn't say too much, but they've sold to one of the big more well-known brands for a long time, and they offered us a few rows this year, and the colour's amazing and the fruit's kind of out of this world.
Excellent.
So, hoping to continue that friendship moving on.
Some more liberated fruit, as we like to call it.
This is about as liberated as you can get.
Excellent.
So yeah, we're pretty excited to get offered a little bit of it. So because the grower wants to see, they want to see it going to a small, batch and
Sure.
loved all the way through.
Yeah, they want to taste it, right? They want to taste what comes out of their own vineyards. Yeah.
Yeah, and they like getting invited to parties, and they like coming to the winery at the barrel. So it kind of is a good relationship.
So I guess one question that got to be asked, the reason we're making this video is because of COVID-19. Did that get in the way of harvest at all?
We're pretty lucky here in South Australia compared to a lot of other places around the world and even other regions outside of South Australia. The borders were kind of locked early for us. So although we had some sort of light restrictions, the wine industry was allowed to continue on. We shut the cellar door or studio bar kind of pretty early, just more to protect the staff.
Sure.
We've got young winemakers that trying to keep them out of the pub doing vintages hard enough, COVID, let alone encouraging COVID on site. So, we kind of kept the heads down and just had more barbecues and more beers at work. And, we got through. So it was good. As I said, we were a lot more fortunate than obviously some of the other wineries in regions closer to the COVID hotspots.
Cool. So if I was there with you now, which I would normally be, you'd be taking me around the winery. We'd be tasting stuff out of barrel. You'd be showing off all your new toys. I can't be there to do that, but hopefully there's some way that you can do that for us now.
Yeah, I thought you might ask that. So I can take you on a bit of a tour. So we can go do that now if you like.
Let's do it.
So Tom, let's go and check out the winery. We can look at the Chardonnay and the Shiraz. Whilst we're out here, behind me is the Cottage 1888 Shiraz block, so literally on the doorstep of the winery. And I suppose the other thing that's interesting whilst we're out the front is that on the roof you can see all of our solar panels. So the whole 90 kilowatts of solar that runs the winery and the site that we were talking about earlier. So let's go and have a look. Tom, behind us is our vintage equipment. This is where we process all our grapes. So we've got a vibrating hopper, airbag press, allows us to be really gentle with the fruit, which is obviously the whole reason we kind of wanted to take the next step with the new winery. And then as we wander through the winery, you'll see that the whole building is lined, and that ties into us being more energy efficient and more sustainable. So let's go for a look. Tom's favourite vessel in the winery, which is a wooden pressure barrel. Great thing about these is we can ferment Cabernet, which is what we've been fermenting them, under pressure, and that helps us build the palate weight, retain some of the aromatics, and why wouldn't we have a play with something like this, because they look pretty cool. So Tom, as we mentioned before, the Coonawarra Chardonnay we've fermented through this French oak wooden vat, brand new this season. So I suppose what makes it different to a small barrel is the surface area to ratio. So we get a more subtle oak pickup with the Chardonnay. But the great thing is we can leave it in here for kind of 3 or 4 months to really integrate and get that kind of slow oxygen intake into the Chardonnay. So let's have a little taste. So 2020 Coonawarra Chardonnay on the nose, really lifted kind of melon, nectarine characters, and on the palate, really good citrus kind of acid line through the back with some nice, I suppose, weight, which is from the oak, obviously the French oak integrating on the palate and giving it a little bit of spice. So this wine will be going to bottling in about 6 weeks, so looking forward to getting some over to the UK. Cheers. Further to the solar on the roof, this is the brains behind the whole system. And behind me we've got 80 kilowatts of lithium-ion batteries, and then lots of inverters and lots of little switch panels managing the power requirement across the site. So it's kind of the first of its kind in South Australia, and it provides 90% of the power we use across the whole site. So we're pretty excited to be leading the way in the region and in the industry. Worth coming to have a look. So Tom, as promised, we'll have a quick taste of the 2020 1888 Shiraz base, obviously still in barrel. If you look closely on the barrels, you'll see that there's a 17th of the 6th, which means we racked it about a month ago, post-Malo. The wine is obviously still young, and you can see the vibrant colour. It's still really purple, and it's going to stay in barrel for another 12 months before we even think about putting it into bottle. But it's looking really good, really fresh, really vibrant, and still pretty wild on the palate. So going the right way, and looking forward to getting into bottle in about 12 months' time. So a good one to look forward to. Cheers. So just quickly, we've come for a little walk down to this area. This is the behind me is the water treatment and our irrigation dam, which in the hotter months of the year during vintage, it allows us to obviously irrigate the vineyard and look after the health of the vines. You might also notice that around me is a crop, which is a wheat crop, which we've been planting across the whole property to help improve the organic matter in the soil and the overall health of the soil, which is important to obviously maintain the health of our vineyards. So yeah, just another little thing, a part of our sustainability here at RedHeads. So Tom, your favourite room on site, the pump and irrigation shed, and also redback breeding facility. So obviously those pumps and the filtration system are very important to our water treatment, and it allows us to irrigate different blocks within the vineyard depending on the weather and the soil moisture probes telling us where we need to irrigate. Yeah, whenever we want, as we need to. And it's all run from the solar and the battery system, so it really helps reduce our carbon footprint.
So I hope you found the winery too, interesting, enlightening. Obviously, it's a great place to work. We're fortunate to have such a good facility. So, and that's kind of the secret to our the wine quality.
I mean, it looks different every time you show it to me. It's always changing, that place. Evolving, that's the word. Now, I like the sound of that Chardonnay. You know I'm a bit obsessed with Chardonnay anyway, but I'm excited for that one to come, and it looks great coming out of that big oak tank as well.
Coonawarra Chardonnay, it just makes sense. It's the most southern kind of region in South Australia. It's kind of parallel with the Yarra Valley, which is really well known for Chardonnay, and it's cool region with just the right temperature to get Chardonnay as we want it. So we're pretty excited about getting the bottle in the coming months.
And the 18.8 coming out of barrel as well, that sounded good. And we've obviously got RedHeads members watching right now, so they'll be happy to hear that that's coming along nicely. Yeah,
as we touched on earlier with the, obviously 2020 Barossa, the vintage, light crops, concentrated flavour, and great colour. We can't really go wrong. So we're actually pretty excited to also get that one to bottle in, kind of 12 months' time when it's ready.
Yeah. We've
been lucky in 2020.
Good. So a bit of a wait still, but, that's necessary to get it right.
Oh, yeah, it was the 2019s.
It just arrived.
Winemaking is a waiting game. So, if you get one shot each year, so we've got to be patient. But that's what makes it kind of worth it. So. Yeah.
So let's, as we got people listening along, let's talk a little bit about RedHeads itself and what makes it a bit different. So we talked already about grape liberation, as we like to call it, and then that leads into small batch winemaking that we like to do, and then also one of our key focuses now is also sustainability. So do you want to touch on all those things and how they all work together well?
Yeah, well, obviously a big part of of the RedHeads, I suppose, journey, and as we've evolved with the new site and the new winery, we just went for a wander through. Obviously, being able to look after these small premium batches is our main focus. But it was a good opportunity to really tie in sustainability and kind of lead. Be a leader in the wine industry. So between our solar, our water, we're capturing, recycling, and kind of making ourselves go off grid and self-sufficient. We're really, sustainability is a big thing for us. So, and I suppose what's really important is the team, like the winemakers, everyone on site is kind of really getting involved and kind of they're proud of what we're achieving. So, I think sustainability and kind of premium winemaking go hand in hand.
Yeah, it just makes sense as well, doesn't it? I mean, everyone, well, certainly in the UK, everyone's depiction of Australia is this, drenched in glorious sunshine. So using the solar energy just seems to make perfect sense.
Yeah, well, obviously we use the analogy we're a bit like a pub. The hottest time of the year it's the sunniest time of the year is when a pub needs the most amount of electricity. A winery is no different. So during vintage, when it's sunny, when we use the most amount of electricity, is when we can produce the most electricity. So with our solar and our batteries, and the batteries is what makes our winery kind of special. We're generating and storing 90% of the power we use across the whole site. So everything from the vineyard irrigation to the offices to the studio bar where I am now, obviously the winery and the water treatment is all getting powered by our solar and batteries. So massive reduction in our carbon footprint. So with that, it goes hand in hand with premium winemaking. It's a long game. We're looking to the future and doing our best to really reduce our impact on the local environment.
Yeah, well, no, it's fantastic. And of course, I was privileged to go and accept an award on your behalf last year in London, which was for water management. And obviously water, with the sort of climate that Australia has, is an extremely important factor. So it's very important that we manage that correctly as well.
Yeah, we're the driest continent on the earth. So, and obviously, we're capturing all our rainwater off the roof and then filtering it and using it through the winery. Once it's been used for the winery, recapturing it and then treating it and kind of refiltering it and then using it to irrigate the vineyard. So what that's done is really taken our reliance off the local town water supply, which, as I said, makes us more self-sufficient, but also, especially in the really dry years when water is scarce, we're not having to draw on the town supply. So we are becoming our own little sort of self-sufficient, sustainable hub down here, which is good for our future-proofing.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's fantastic, and it really is the future of winemaking as far as I'm concerned, as far as we're both concerned. And you mentioned to me previously that other winemakers of the area are sort of coming for a bit of a nose around to see how and what we're doing.
Yeah, well, we're pretty proud of what we've achieved, and obviously the wine industry, its biggest strength is its ability. Winemakers share notes, work together with winemaking, and we all travel and work around the world. So it's kind of showing off what we've been doing in the winery. It kind of makes sense. So yeah, there's been a lot of winemakers have been curious, and then there's winemakers which are kind of on the same path as us, looking for ways to improve how they do things and kind of reduce their footprint. So it's kind of exciting, and as I said, we're definitely open to showing people what we've been doing.
Great. It's good to share. Now I can see, if we move on a little bit, I can see from the lovely backdrop that you've got there that you're in the studio bar, our Cellar door, which wasn't open for long because Dad and I came to see you end of last year for the opening party, which was a great time, obviously, as every RedHeads party is. But what's the current state of the Cellar door? Because obviously COVID would have affected it somehow.
Yeah, well, this is obviously, from when you visited, this is obviously our last project. So we've given it a bit of a facelift. We've upgraded all the lights, so the LEDs, it reduced our power usage. But pre-COVID, we were having a good time in Cellar door, but we had to shut. We were kind of proactive and shut pre-COVID lockdowns, more to protect our staff, so we didn't have any issues with vintage. Vintage is, I couldn't risk letting any of the winemakers get sick, so we kind of locked down. But in the last 2 weeks we've reopened Cellar door. We've been careful. We're fairly restricted on. We haven't got no buses pulling in, but Yeah, we're kind of lucky in South Australia that because we're fairly isolated and just a big country town, that we haven't had any COVID cases for kind of 2 months now. So yeah, we're definitely kind of getting back into hosting and showing off our wines. So yeah, we look forward to seeing people in the future when they can start travelling again.
A slow, careful approach, I think, is the key. But it is a spectacular space, the Cellar door.
I think what makes it a bit more fun too is Cellar door is that all the people who are working, kind of anyone who comes through Cellar door, you're going to cross paths with either myself, one of the other winemakers, one of the guys who's working in the vineyard. So people that are kind of actively involved in our winemaking. So I think that's another kind of thing that sets us a little bit apart to some of the other wineries.
Fancy giving us a tour of that one as well?
Yeah, we can go for a bit of a tour if you like.
Show us around, Alex.
So Tom, this is Cellar door on a beautiful winter's day, nice and sunny. We're really excited to be open again. Obviously being closed for the last 3 months was a bit depressing, but we've come out of COVID on the right side, and it's great to be open again. So let's go for a look inside. So with a lot more character now, it makes it feel like our home and RedHeads. It's a great place for people to come and try our wines and just chill and relax. It's a studio bar rather than a cellar door, so all about enjoying the wines and enjoying everything that is RedHeads.
So that was just a quick tour of inside and out of the studio bar. What do you think, Tom?
I love it. I love it. Like, I can't get over how different it looks to when we first moved in. And the shed, the viewing shed or whatever it's called out the back there, I think is just fantastic and quite unique as well. I mean, obviously it's winter time now, so the vineyards aren't looking their most beautiful, but it still is a great view and shows everything that we're proud of.
Yeah, I think we take the view for granted, and obviously, yes, the vines are dormant, but they'll be springing back to life in kind of the 6 to 8 weeks. Pruning crews sort of busily just finishing off, getting everything ready for the upcoming season. But it's a great spot, so we're pretty lucky to be there.
Yeah, no, it's great. And speaking of new things, the new cellar door or studio bar, sorry. What else is new? I'm excited. I'm hearing about this organic Shiraz coming out of McLaren Vale. That's just one of them. I'm sure you've got a few others.
Yeah, we wouldn't be RedHeads if we weren't doing something new. So organic Shiraz is definitely something that we really want to have a play with. So we've found a little grower down McLaren Vale who's been growing organically and organically certified for the last 10, 15 years. So it's good, it's premium McLaren Vale Shiraz and organically grown, so it doesn't have all the pesticides, herbicides, and all the other nasties on it in the vineyard. So we're kind of really excited about the wine. It's the fact that it's organically grown is one reason why we're excited, but secondly, it looks really good. So we're working on getting that to bottling in the coming kind of next 4 to 6 weeks.
So it's a great wine, it's organically made, and it's made in a solar-powered winery. I mean, what more could you want?
It doesn't get much greener than that, so to speak. We've got a very small carbon footprint already, and then for the fact that it's organically grown, it fits with our kind of longer-term ambitions, and something that this is the first step for organically grown fruit for us, and we're looking to continue on that path and do more as we find the right growers. So, as far as other new projects, we've made a Riesling this year. It's only very small. So the studio bar exclusive this year. But what makes it, I suppose, more interesting or special than kind of some of the other Rieslings getting around is that we, other than being a single vineyard little Barossa Valley Riesling, we fermented it in a pressure tank. So what makes that interesting or special is that by fermenting the Riesling under pressure, the yeast have to work a lot harder, and it, I suppose, as an outcome of that, they produce larger molecules. So it gives us more mouthfeel and more mouth weight naturally in the wine. So rather than having to add sugar, which we don't do, we're building more mouth weight, more palate weight in our Riesling. And then also, because we're fermenting under pressure, so it's a bit like beer, we're kind of keeping more of those aromatics, aromatics captured in the wine. So it's small volume, but it's been a really fun project. And
excellent.
The staff are, I think the winemaker is going to end up drinking more of it than we actually sell the way we're going.
Well, that's always a good sign, isn't it? If the staff love it, then it's normally a pretty good wine, right? Well, I'm lucky because you've sent me a bottle of it as well. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to very soon. The sun's coming out this weekend, so that's the perfect time. But so small batch this year, but if it's looking pretty good, then maybe, because it's not going to make it up to the UK, is it? So, but now the members have heard about it, so they're going to want it next year.
The pressure's back on you. If you give it the ticket of approval this year, then it might make it to the UK next year. No pressure.
Absolutely. Well, Alex, thank you very much. That's great. That's a great summary of all you've been up to over these last 6 months or so. Sounds pretty hectic, but it sounds pretty exciting too. Yeah,
well, we managed to get through some obviously pretty tough vintage conditions, and then the world's had a recent COVID challenge, but in general, vintages, we're really excited with the wine we've made out of this vintage. So we're looking forward to getting them into bottle and showing people what we've achieved in still a very relatively new winery. That's allowing us to really look after wine quality.
It's great. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. That's an update from Alex there. Give us a wave, Alex. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that, and hopefully at some point soon we can see you face to face and we can talk about everything that's gone on since now. But for now, cheers. Thank you very much.